Welcome to Trees in Space, the podcast that gives an honest review of movies that you think you might want to see. I'm Smitty,
And I'm Nate.
and
And
this week we watched Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Now, this movie was a PG-13 because of action, language, smoking, because I guess that needs to be free. Yeah, a lot of smoking. It's action adventure. It's English, and the director is James Mangold. I have no idea who that is. Producers Kathleen Kennedy, Frank Marshall, Simon Emmanuel, and the most important thing I think here is the writers of Jez, okay, and John Henry Butterworth. Now, this movie had made about $147 million out of a budget of $300 million, and it ran for about 2.5 hours. And I would explain the synopsis of it, but it's Indiana Jones, so
you
it's
know,
basically he's looking for a relic.
uh, I think this movie could have been cut down by 20 minutes.
It absolutely could have been cut down by 20 minutes and still been a good movie.
And I think more people would have gone. I think the problem, first, that sucks. It grossed 174 and it was 300 to make.
And that's just to make, and that's not even the money they used to advertise the movie.
Oh.
They said this movie needed to make about 750 million to break even. It's not done well.
Yeah, and it's surprising to me because I really enjoyed this movie.
I really enjoyed this movie too, and again, like I said was it the first episode or the last episode we did? No, I didn't say it online. I didn't. I said it privately. I said if you look through things through woke glasses, you're going to see nothing but wokeness. And I think that's what happened with this movie. A lot of very conservative, very angry people refused to watch this movie because they thought it was going to be a lot like the new Star Wars, where they were handing over the mantle to a female protagonist. That
Gotcha.
it's going to go from Indiana Jones to a female protagonist, and getting rid of the white male thing. So I didn't get that from this movie.
Nor did I. I couldn't even, when you said looking through a woke prism or a woke eye, I was like, how the hell can you get woke in Indiana Jones? Like they checked every block except for maybe transgenders. But given the time period of the movie,
Yes.
that wasn't really a thing, so you get a pass.
So I think what happened was because it was Disney and a lot of hate for Disney right now, at least during when this came out, and not wanting to watch Disney because they're too quote unquote woke. And then people that did not watch the movie because they heard other people who watched the movie and they stay in their little bubble and they don't want to go outside of that, refuse to watch this movie. And to be honest with you and to the listeners, I was one of those people. Not because of that reason, but I had no desire really to watch the movie. And then I thought, okay, it is Disney. It's just going to be a woke piece of garbage. I said that to myself. I'm so happy I watched this movie.
Me too. It is the best movie I've seen so far in 2023.
I mean, it's Indiana Jones. And it's what Indiana Jones does. And I don't know what anyone expected him to be doing, because when I first heard it was going to be a time traveling thing, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Like he was going to go back in time and like do what the Avengers did and like retouch all his other movies when he meets himself as a younger person. That's where I thought this was going to be. And that's not what this was at all. And there was no magic. It's mathematics.
Right. And one thing I loved about this movie is they left nothing open. Like
Right.
everything you saw in the beginning had a reason for it at the end. Like the kid learning how to fly at a little bar, he had to fly a plane in the freaking movie. Like,
Right.
and it kind of got a little tiring for me. I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because when they're like, when the woman, I'm trying to find her name.
Goddaughter?
Yeah, the goddaughter.
I can't remember her name.
Wombat.
Wombat. Yes, he called her Wombat. Yeah, Wombat.
She was like, "Can you fly that?" And he's like, "Oh, that plane?" She's like, "Well, I've never flown any." It's like,
Yeah, yeah, definitely,
I was like, really?
exactly.
You're gonna ask this fucking kid to fly an airplane? And I was like, oh, at the beginning of the movie, he was talking to
He's learning how to
pilots.
fly
He
an
had the
airplane.
rig,
Yes.
and I was just like, and then the guy sleeping in the plane, like, really, come on,
Yeah, that
like,
was. I mean, there were parts about the movie, and just so people know, I didn't say this part, but Harrison Ford, of course, plays Indiana Jones. The goddaughter is played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Don't
mhm.
know who she is. Never heard of her before.
She was
And
great.
she was. And Jurgen Verlar, the bad guy, was played by Mad. That's supposed to be Milkelstein. Milkelstein. That's supposed to be two K's, not two F's. He did a great job too. And the one part I really didn't get, or I shouldn't say I didn't get, there's a lot of us like, okay, that's not, no, no. But it's Indiana Jones. Of course, it's a lot of no, no. You got to watch it through the Indiana Jones spectrum. But that's the very beginning, the CGI thing, which we'll get into that in a second. And he's on the train and he gets hit in the face off a train moving 80 miles an hour by I guess, a bell because he goes, his face rings a bell. I'm guessing that's what the joke was about. And back in 1955, and he don't look like he took any damage from that. There's no scars on his face. He looked better at 60 than he did at 30. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like, how did he not die? He's out in the middle of the Alps, and they never explained that part. Not only back, it's like, as I sat there laying there, Dad, so and so picked me up, and nothing happened. There's no explanation for how he survived that train at the beginning. You know what I'm talking about? When he comes off the train and gets hit in the face by the bell.
you know what's funny is I don't remember that scene. I don't remember him getting hit by a bell.
Well, do you
Like
remember?
the train,
Yes,
I
it
don't
was
remember
very
what
poor
happened there.
CGI.
So I
Very
must have like closed my eyes for a second, or like,
well. You remember they're on top of the train and they kept going under bridges. I mean, under tunnels, so they kept laying down and they
no,
kept going. You know,
I missed the whole part of the movie apparently.
the bad guy. You remember the bad guy, right? He
Yeah,
was at the beginning of the movie, right?
yeah.
And then, okay, well, do you think he just stayed on the train the whole time? Because the train got blown up. The
Well,
tracks got blown
yeah.
up,
The track got blown up. They fell in the water.
right? Which that would have killed them because of the distance that was. But the bad guy, how do you think he got from the train to update news? How did he, get to that? Well, he got
Yeah.
knocked off the train. He's a
I don't. I guess I don't really. I never thought about it. I
okay.
was
Watch the
so.
first hour and a half of this again because that's about that's about how long that train scene was. And I liked how they waited till that train scene in Indiana gets on top of the train till you hear his music hit. Dun,
Mhm.
dun, dun, like, oh, there it is. There's
It was
Indiana.
beautifully composed.
It
John
was
Williams was the composer of this, and yeah, that was great. The an issue I had with the movie is I could tell it was a Disney movie. Is
okay.
that weird?
Yes.
The cinematography, the set, like it felt like I was in Disney World on an amusement park ride,
Mm.
and like, oh, it's indie. Like
Right.
it just felt like it was all fake.
Okay.
And it felt like it was on a soundstage. It like just the whole vibe of the movie just really kind of like okay, yeah, that's that Disney green screen that they shoot
Mhm.
everything that they shot Guardians on, and
Right.
all
Right.
that's where that is. And then
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the CGI had a lot to be desired, especially at the beginning. Some parts are really good. They de-aged him, which they did, but sometimes, especially in the train sequences, I don't know if it was our copy of what we were watching, but it was poor. It's like, guys, spend the money and the time and get some good CGI in these movies.
well, and I think the other part too is I felt like this movie was meant to be seen in the theater.
I
It's
think
not
so.
meant to be at home, I think. And that's probably where, you know, Lucasfilms and Disney were thinking like, okay, we're going to bring people back into the summer, back into the movie theater, get like end of summer, big theatrical,
Hmm.
and it flopped. But this movie would have been fantastic. And I think the Crystal Skull movie probably soured a lot of people.
It did, and
This,
and to be fair, I can see that because there was so many bad things about the Crystal Skull movie, and this I think corrected a lot of those. I mean, it didn't correct the
it,
storyline. It didn't, but it corrected Indiana Jones.
well, yeah, and it corrected the blunder of Mutt.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, spoilers. Mutt's dead. They killed off Mutt, and I was not
Awesome.
sad. And I was not sad. He died, I guess, in the Korean War.
He he served a valorous death. He joined the military and he died in combat versus
Yes,
being a yeah.
yes. And so I'm like, good. Not that I want Mutt to die, but at least he came in the new Indiana Jones. So they killed him off screen. They fixed all the Mutt thing, and that's another thing they're doing, the Dial of Destiny. I knew the time thing. Like, oh my god, they're gonna bring Mutt back. He's gonna go save his son. He's gonna go. I don't know, different things they could have done.
There were some
But
things that kept coming to my mind, but where they went,
totally different than I thought it was gonna be.
oh, absolutely.
I mean, and they did that very well, I thought, because they went back. Okay, first and foremost, what people don't know who haven't seen the movie, his goddaughter, which is a character they brought up for this movie, she was never in anything before.
No,
You know,
and I loved her.
she did very good.
She portrayed the role that she did so beautifully. It was like I want to see her go do some
She
adjuration.
is.
Wombat.
Yes, I think she is the, what do you call it? Because of her arc. I think she is the Han Solo, if you will. Because she
Hmm.
was always about the money. She wants the relics, but she don't want to put them in museums. She's trying to make money. She's she's the bad one. She's usually the bad person in these movies, like the bad guy. Indiana Jones is getting it for the museum. The bad guy's getting to sell it to somebody for the money.
Right.
Right? She's the one trying to steal stuff for the money. That's what she was about. But in the movie, it was a little bit different. So she's the one who had the character arc,
Exactly.
and I really enjoyed that. And I don't think they were trying to hand over Indiana Jones to her, because at the end of the movie, it wasn't like she took his hat and walked off.
Exactly.
You know?
And no, she put on her little 70s
Yes,
anything and hopped, skipped, and jumped away.
yes, yes. So I don't know why they were concerned about who are these stupid people with their ideologies.
I also had another in knowing how old Harrison Ford is.
Mm-hmm.
How much time do you really think he spent on set? Like,
I
there's
don't know.
no way he's running on a train. There's no way he's
No,
scuba diving in
he
the
did.
ocean.
He did ride the horses, though. He did ride the horses. The horse.
Yeah.
He did all those.
Even in the subway?
Even, well, it was a fake thing, but yes, he wrote it in Subway. Yeah, he said, yeah. I mean, of course, it wasn't him getting off the horse or getting on the horse, because they couldn't do. He's like, I'm too old to do that, so they had to have a stand-in for that part. But he did ride the horse,
But like he's
and
he
that was crazy. The Subway scene was just.
oh yeah, and how convenient. Oh, there's a little opening that this horse
Yep.
is gonna fit through right at the narrow second. Oh, here's another convenient opening.
It's like, and I get, like you said, we gotta pause our what's that called um
Conception of reality.
yeah, it's called something different, but yes, it's basically that. You got to put on pause what you know to be true to enjoy these kind of movies. I mean,
Yes.
you have to. I mean, the first four you'd have to, especially the last one, but especially the Crystal Skull one. It's the one we don't talk about.
And it's funny is I don't think he even mentioned so when they're climbing the
Yes.
mountain and she's paused and she's like, "What are you pausing?" He's like, "I drank the blood of Cthulhu.
Yeah, it was like the Maha, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he mentioned other movie things he did during his time too. He never mentioned the Crystal Skull. He
No, and
did
he's like,
say though he saw things that he can't explain, but he doesn't
true.
believe in magic. So
And he's like, and now now I'm wondering why I'm here.
yeah, when my back, my back, and he is saying what was he said in real life, then made it into the script. So he's
Well,
talking
it's just
and like,
so
why am I doing this?
it humanized him.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that he is so old and he's like, my neck, my back. I did
Yeah,
find it sweet at the end of the movie. You're like, well, where doesn't it hurt?
yeah, I love that. Yes, Marianne came back at the very end, and saw him when he's in the hospital or the room. And in case you didn't know, but people listening to this might not know. The very first movie, he's all beat up, and he's like, it hurts there. She goes, well, where doesn't it hurt? and he's pointing somewhere, so she kisses where it doesn't hurt.
Mhm.
And at the end, that's the first movie. And of course, they rounded it off with that ending with she asking him, "Well, doesn't it hurt?" Actually, he asked her, "Where does it hurt?"
Yes.
They reversed it, and then yeah, that was great. That was wonderful.
Overall, I would. I love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was fantastic. I did complain because I was like, this isn't 90 minutes or less. This is a
You can't
lot.
give us a true rating yet. We got to go through the reviews of everyone else first.
I know I'm pushing you that way.
Oh. you know. Anyways, Rotten Tomatoes, they scored it at 69%, and audience scored it at 88%. Audience scored this because us audience know what we like. Stop telling us what
I
we
will
like.
agree with the audience more than Rotten Tomatoes with this. I think it was, yeah, I had my little issues with it, but I loved how everything tied together. It was beautifully directed, composed,
Mm-hmm.
acted. Everything was perfect. Um, and I don't know how Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 69.
I don't know either. Do you want to read the 5 stars or do you want to read the 1 stars?
I would like to read the 1 stars.
Okay, the 5 stars say this. I didn't do 6 each. I just did however many there were. Not just a few of them. Michael A says this movie was so good. I put it right up there with one of the very best in the series. Even at 79, Harrison does indie justice. Thank you for giving us one last thrill.
Can I
Yeah,
toss a suggestion?
sure.
What if I read a 1 star after you read a 5 star?
Okay, that sounds good.
Where are your ones? There we go. I will agree with that statement, though.
Yes.
Kara C said a bewildering tapestry of temporal inconsistencies. This film presents itself as a scorching spectacle of embarrassment.
Wow.
That was very articulate.
It
And
was.
I have a question though. How do they explain the Nazi airplane in ancient Greece when they come back in time?
And they would have found it. I know exactly. That's another one of the parts of the movie I really liked was when Indy goes, "I'm gonna stay here." I'm like, "Oh God, don't stay there, whatever." And then she finally says, "I'm sorry." She just punches him, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yes, yes." That was the best part of the movies because you know that she goes, "I need to stay here in the history, archaeology, and be with this guy, whatever." And she tried to beg and plead for him to not to do that, and she finally gets enough of it and says, "No, fuck you." I thought it was great. I was like, "Yes." Bring him back. But yeah, I don't know how you explain the plane being in the sack of Syracuse. I guess
Yeah.
that's for the next Indiana Jones movie. And there's another thing. If what's it called? If James Bond can do it, why can't Indiana Jones? Why can't you get another actor to continue?
Well, I think you can't with James Bond, they did a very nice bow. I mean, granted they've done Bond for years, but they're like, "Oh, Bond is just the code name."
Well, that's what you would think, yes.
And well, no, they actually spelt that out. I think in one
That
of
was
them.
007. 007 was the code. There's more than one 007, but
But
James
the name
Bond.
James Bond is attached to 007.
That's a fan theory. That's not written out for true.
I'm pretty sure it's in the movie.
It's not. Just 007 is. I watched it. Damn it. Anyways, continue. Continue. No, I'm just saying. But why can't they have a different actor to say James Bond? I mean, why can't he
Oh,
just? Yeah.
well, because Indiana Jones is Harrison Ford, like is Henry Jones Jr. That's Indy. So the next one, unless she's going to be like, well, I'm Indiana Wombat.
Well, no, I'm just saying, why can't they have another actor play Indiana Jones, one who's 35 years old now, and play and shows different adventures of Indiana Jones? I mean, they had a young Indiana Jones, River Phoenix, making the TV show.
There was a TV show.
Yeah, The Adventures of Indiana Jones.
How'd that do?
Not good.
That's probably why they're not getting another actor to play Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones.
I'm just saying, if James Bond can do it, Indiana Jones can do it. They can do that with Indy. They can keep this show going for 50 more years.
I think they just, you can continue this as another Kentucky Jane, Kentucky Wombat, the
Yeah.
Wisconsin Wombat, the British Ambassador Wombat.
Just call her own adventures, yeah. And I think that's what a lot of the people worried about was her taking it over. But someone got to take it over. He's probably going to survive another. He's definitely not doing another one.
There's
So
no way he's going to do another movie. If they were going to do another one, they should have filmed it right after that one.
yes. So, but he's done. So, Harry S. The ultimate conclusion to the Indiana Jones series. It was entertaining, and I loved seeing the new characters as well as the original characters. Excited and well worth watching it. I loved it.
I agree. AJS said, truly sad writing and even worse acting. Why? Oh, wow. Why?
It wasn't bad acting.
The
Like
writing was great. I think the acting was fantastic.
Yeah. Patricia M. The movie's action packed and funny as the first. You almost have to see it twice to catch everything. Very clever and heartfelt as well. I absolutely loved it.
I would agree. I think you would have to watch. I don't have another 2.5 hours, I think, to dedicate to this movie.
All right.
But if it was on cable, I think I'd watch it again. I think this would, in the Temple of Doom and Raiders and all that, like, I'd watch this again.
Yeah, I would.
Greg K. John Williams' music and Harrison Ford are not enough. Scenes look like in-game material. I'm guessing that's supposed to be like end-game material.
Like inside a video game material, maybe?
Oh, maybe. Unfortunately, the same pitfall as The Hobbit when the studios returned to shoot on site.
Oh, just like you were talking about how the background was all green screens. They used to shoot everything on site.
Yeah.
Very good point. You brought it up yourself, yeah. Wow, this is George B. What a surprise. Much better than I thought it would be. It was a mature Indiana Jones. Best one since the very first movie. That's a big praise.
That's high praise.
That's high. I considered that The Last Crusades in that group.
I will definitely say that the fan service in this movie was very spot on.
It was.
Musical F. This is the 1-star review. This is the last one I see here. Completely unwatchable. I can't believe they did this to Indy. The CGI to make the characters younger came off as super creepy. A la Tom Hanks in Polar Express. The plot lacked any focus or intellect, and there was zero entertainment value. No sense of adventure, just computer-generated epilepsy-inducing chase scenes. I felt nothing but boredom and sadness. I pity the fool who enjoyed this movie. It never should have been made. One of the worst movies I've ever seen, if I'm being honest. Clearly, seen straights.
Apparently, this person was traumatized. Indiana Jones has hurt this person. I'm not sure how, but this is just wow. That's just wow. I'm even gonna read that. I'm just gonna go straight to the what the fuck. Comment. That's just atrocious. How bad he thought this movie was.
And it's crazy. Like, it made me think of South Park when they were like, they raped him.
Yeah, exactly. It's just okay. Yes, I agree with the CGI in the train part that you seem to forgot. It does look Polar Expresses.
I do though. I was concerned that they were going to shoot the entire movie like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad it was only like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't that long of it, but yeah,
and really not all of it was him. Like
no.
they did very little of him in this movie, and really, they could have technically shot this entire movie without him. Like they done the beginning of it, and then with him and Basil and Indy are just kind of like they died. And
that's what I thought was going. That's what I think people thought was going to happen. But no, he was in the whole movie. People, in case he was, it didn't get handed off. Whatever. The part I really didn't much care for. Two things. One, okay, when they blew up the dynamite, she has a cigarette and the dynamite behind her back like this. Like they're not paying attention to what she's doing back here. Like they're just oblivious to this.
I mean, I was oblivious to the fact that he got hit in the head with a bell and fell off a train.
That's true. And then of course, they killed Puss in Boots, man. Why you got to kill Puss in Boots? That made me mad.
I was trying to remember his name. I kept trying to say
Banderas.
I kept thinking it was God damn it! Now all I can think of is Antonio Banderas. The Mandalorian.
Oh, what is his name?
Del Toro. No,
No.
Benicio del Toro. That's who I kept thinking he
Okay, that's
was.
not the same guy, but okay. Okay, now the what the frick comment. This movie should not exist. In typical Disney fashion, they took a great classic character and made him into a disheveled and pitiful old man with no will to live, who was ultimately reliant upon a Mary Sue. What
Well,
movie did they watch?
well, I'm gonna say John. Disney didn't make Harrison Ford
Yeah,
a disheveled and pitiful old man with no
exactly.
will who to live anymore. He is
Yes,
a pitiful old man with no will to live and is disheveled.
yes.
Like
That's
that
what
is
I
just Harrison Ford. He is just a crusty old man.
is.
Get off my
And,
lawn.
and what are you gonna do? The man is 80 years old. He's playing an 80-year-old Indiana Jones. He cannot be anything but a pitiful old man. He can't. 80-year-old men are not superheroes. They're not running around like he did when he was 35. So how would you say that? And then he said he was utterly, utterly reliant upon a Mary Sue, his goddaughter. I don't see him being reliant on her. She helped, but he was still self-reliant a lot of the times. He did things as he helped more her than she helped him. He did all. He got away from people.
Well, and one thing I guess
In
I
every
didn't
movie,
realize
he
it.
gets some help from somebody.
I didn't realize it until just now, but this movie had two plots. You had Indy's plot and you had
Yeah.
Wombat's plot. Like it was two movies running in parallel.
Yes. Yes.
And then at one point they intersect. And
Yes.
that's the end.
Yeah. So, yeah, she just. I mean, I don't understand what this guy's seeing because this is who he is now. If they were trying to make him a younger man and he did that, and he had the will to live, he just wanted to live back 2,000 years ago in Syracuse. It's fine. It's just he was not. Oh, I hate this because this is someone who's not watched this movie. This person did not watch this movie. They heard it from some sort of, conservative think tank and wrote that. Is what I'm thinking. And I hate saying that because I'm a conservative person myself, and I don't think this person saw this movie. There's no way.
No, I definitely don't. All right, it's time to give it our review. Smitty, what
Yes.
do you
Out of 5 trees, because there's so many more movies to see, I'm going to give it 3 trees.
uh I give this movie high praise. I think it was a fantastic movie. I really enjoyed it. Even though I was a little pissy in the beginning. But overall it was way better than I expected. I loved everything that I had a hiccup with. I can surpass it. I think it was a major rebound from the last Indiana Jones
Mhm.
movie. I am going to give it 4 trees and a stump.
Wow, wow, that's about as high as it gets.
Yeah, I can't give it 5 trees. I
You must
want to
love
give
this
it
movie.
5 trees, but it has some things that it could have fixed, but I think all in all, 4 trees and a stump is very
I think that because you'll never get me to say a movie's 5 trees. So I'm just saying that right now. So
fair
okay.
enough.
And I guess I have no idea how to finish this show out, but see you next week when we will be reviewing Barbie. Have a great day.
Oh, you're gonna go like that now?
You said to.
Thank you all for listening to Trees in Space. I've been Nate. That's been Smitty. Take care, and we'll see you at the movies.